Today on Reelistic Outdoors, we're going to be fishing for some peamouth. I'm going to show you how to use the Marcum. We'll go over some flashers. I'm going to take you into some lake trout and some bull trout. Oh. And a nice little rainbow. So, stay tuned today on Reelistic Outdoors. You won't be able to see me, but I'm going to do some talking. I have modified some of the programming inside my Marcum to include a regular graph. There's a nice hook on the bottom, look at that. Showing some fish down there. This is where my bait is. This is my swivel. This is the real time from the bottom, which is showing 18 feet. So this is, there's a fish hanging around my line right now. You can see he just moved in here. And this is a zoom. Right now I have it between 14 and 18 feet. And it looks to me like I could probably change the zoom up to, there we go, so right there around that, where that fish is happening. So that he's around 15 feet. You can see just now when I move my line up and down, you can see the marks actually coming down in real time. They're both happening in real time. So what I'm going to need to do right now is probably get a worm on there, because I see bait hitting down there, or some peamouth. Now I've played with a few of the settings on this Marcum. One of the settings I found to be wicked perfect after playing a lot of times was the factory reset. If you add a few of these features and move a few of these around and put it into factory reset, other than adding a little sensitivity or changing the zoom, you really don't need to do a lot to make this perfect. Look at all the fish down here. Now I gotta get my line down to there, and now you see it coming down at 5 feet. Now I can see fish coming up. Now fish just actually came up. He's sitting on my bait right now, and if I just give him a little, there's a fish on. So you can see how that actually happens in real time. Now this is what we call a red side shiner. Now I know some of you have been using them for bait, but it's illegal here in most of the areas in BC. But what I'm going to tell you about this fish is, if you cut the head and tail off, gut it, stick it in a can with a whole bunch of others with about 2 heaping teaspoons of hot salsa, you have an amazing dinner fish. But it has to be canned. I mean, they're a pretty bony white fish, so canning them is the best way to go. Now I see a really big fish down here. Now if I can get my line down there fast enough to get past all these little guys, I might be able to get it onto him. Okay, so now I'm down there. That's my bait and my swivel moving down. Now I'm sitting right here, and there's a whole bunch of activity. Like, there is a ton of activity. If you want to have fun with your kids, and you can catch rainbows, lingcod, and a lot of these peamouth or red-sided shiners, and it keeps the kids super entertained. I mean, you really don't need a lot of skill to catch the peamouth. Just a hook and a worm. You could use shrimp as well. But literally, once you get these tuned in here, you could catch realistically 30 to 50 an hour per line. And but I'm trying to avoid the P-mouth just now because there's something a little bit bigger. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a nice little rainbow. I mean, see, I could tell on the chart here that this was a different fish than the P-mouth, the way he was acting. And the size of it was quite a bit bigger than the P-mouth. So that's why I tried to drop it down there past him. But if you get fine-tuned into your fish finder, you can actually see the difference in the fish and what you're looking for. That's a pretty little rainbow right there. Let's get him back down there. So that's the third rainbow I've caught, but you can see them. I'm pretty sure those are the rainbow. And then the P-mouth will hang around up here. If you do happen to come down here, I've tried lots of different jig colors. Green works the best for me, a little bit of orange. What I prefer for P-mouth is a vertical jig, so when you're pulling up is where the hook is, not a horizontal jig, because P-mouth have a hard time getting hold of that. Well, not a hard time, but a harder time. So I prefer the vertical jig method there. You can do whatever works best for you, but I've tried lots of different stuff. So there's some more coming in there. I mean, that one fish there seems a little bigger, and now there's some coming up off the bottom. I see there's a mark already racing up off the bottom to be next at my bait. And now, I mean, I can turn some of the sensitivity down and lose a little bit of this. Oh, there's another fish. But you see what I mean? I mean, you could entertain these kids for hours with this. Now, this is what I was talking about with the vertical. So I've hooked them right in the top of the beak, and it just from him nipping on it, it was a lot easier to catch these little, because their mouths are very, very tiny. And oh, there you got my worm back. Oh, I'm actually keeping a couple of those. So I'll probably put 6 of those in a can with two large tablespoons of with hot salsa. If you don't like hot salsa, you can use mild or whatever. I just like all the flavors that it gives. It's not very tomato pasty or anything like that. It just adds a lot of different flavors. Really good for sandwiches or just on the side, like especially if you go fishing and you want to take something quick to eat. You can take some canned red side shiners, open them up, and be the hit of the party. Oh, there's a whole ton more. I mean, this is all day. Look, there's another one. This is what I mean for the kids. I mean, most kids don't really care what kind of fish they're catching, but as long as they're catching shiners, you might as well take a few home and put them in the canner. And I'm just reusing this tiny piece of worm over and over. I'll usually catch 5 or 6 on that little tiny piece. Okay, there's no activity here. I'm gonna get my hook down there. So there's my hook. It's now at 10 feet. That's my swivel, that's my hook. And you can see the sensitivity. I mean, my jig and swivel are small. There's a fish coming up. He's coming up. And 3, 2, 1. And that was him moving up here. And he's biting. Just missed him there. There we go. So one of the things that I like to point out with the flasher is knowing the depth of where they're hanging out, knowing, there, I finally lost my worm, knowing when they're actually going to bite is a huge, huge advantage. I was showing some friends the other day who eventually went out and bought one, how I can tell on here if a fish is interested. Maybe he's interested but not hungry, or maybe he's hungry and he doesn't like your colors. These are things that you get real-time feedback, and you can adjust. We were using a white jig at the last lake we were at, and that was killing them 2 weeks prior. I watched on my flasher these fish rising on a white jig, sitting beside it. They were literally sitting beside it, and they weren't interested. Changed it up to a chartreuse, and it was 5 or 6 fish in the next 15 minutes between us. That's the difference in knowing whether you're sitting here staring down a hole or actually catching fish and not wasting your time. And give that a try. That'll be my, not only my tip of the day, but my hardcore advice to say, get one of these and you'll really turn on the fishing. Now see if I can get this fish right here. Gotta get it down. Gotta get it down. Oh, look at all these fish coming up after this already. I'm trying to get it down to where that fish is. I mean, there's lingcod down here, so, oh darn. Got another one. I can't seem to get this down past. There are so many shiners in here. And again, like I said, they're delicious. How did that happen? I'm going to tease these ones. I'll bring my line up. Now my line's up nice and high. The fish are chasing up. Here they come. Teasing some more. Drop it back down. I don't know, they just seem to appear like out of nowhere. Let's see if I can get this down to the bottom. There's something down there. Okay, I'm on the bottom. Right there is my jig. Let's see it moving here. These are all fish. These are all peamouth. There's just a ton of peamouth in here. Now there's a few big fish down here. Maybe a rainbow. Let's see. Oh, there's one. I don't know if he's tangled on transducer, but that one seems a little heavier. Oh, he's tangled on my transducer. No big deal. The shiner. See, lipstick. I call that the lipstick. The makeup. Nice red shiny strip there. Nickname red-sided shiners. Other people know them as peamouth. I'm getting a lot of slush in this hole. There's two lakes. Had a decent freeze and then a major thaw and some rain. The lake got covered. Had a couple days of, or overnights that was super cold. So now I've got this 3 inches of ice, 3 inches of water, and 3 more inches of ice. And in between it's full of slush. There's some decent sized fish right there. You know, I've added the graph here. I've been used to just a circular flasher. I used to use the Marcum LX7 TC, and for the longest time when I bought this, I actually had the circle there. It gave me, I don't know, a nostalgia feeling, but this, look at this fish racing up here. This gives me all the information I need, plus this gives me a chance to look away, do something and look back and see if anything has come up and down, and it gives me like just a recording for a couple more seconds. And I can remove a lot of this stuff. I've got graphs in here telling me my voltage and my my target rejection, sensitivity. I just kind of like that on there. It doesn't make any difference. I could remove that and it'll give me a little more graph. But the versatility of this Marcum, the LX7 and the LX9, is that it's a computer, so you can change what you want to see for what type of fishing you're doing. And but since I got rid of the circle, I mean, I love it. I kind of miss it, but I can see this super advantage of having this graph there. Oh, shoot. Keep missing this fish, blabbing away. I'll catch one more here and then. Maybe I don't have my worm on. Oh yeah, got my worm.